Long ago, in a small village near the Great Zambezi River, there lived a boy named Kato. Kato was only 13 years old, but he dreamed of being seen as a man. In his village, boys became men when they showed courage, strength, and wisdom. Every evening, Kato listened to the old men telling stories around the fire. He dreamed of the day when he, too, would sit among them, wearing a warrior's cloth and speaking with pride. But for now, Kato was just a boy who carried water, herded goats, and helped his mother in the fields. One morning, Kato woke up early and went to speak with his father, a tall, serious man named Juma. "Father," Kato said, standing straight, "I want to prove I am ready to be a man." Juma looked at his son for a long time. Then he spoke slowly, "Being a man is not about words. It is about action. If you truly wish to prove yourself, you must go into the forest and return with something that shows your bravery." Kato's heart jumped with excitement and fear. The forest was known for wild animals, sharp thorns, and deep, dark caves. Many boys were too scared to enter alone. Without wasting time, Kato packed a small bag. He took a calabash of water, a piece of roasted yam, and his father's old hunting knife. His mother cried when she saw him leave. "Be careful, my son," she whispered, giving him a necklace with a small lion's tooth for protection. Kato walked past the river, across the dusty fields, and towards the thick green wall of trees. The forest stood before him like a giant. Birds sang in the high trees, and strange sounds came from deep within. Kato tightened his belt and stepped into the shadows. The forest was alive. Kato moved carefully, remembering the teachings of the elders. He watched where he stepped, for snakes loved to hide under fallen leaves. He kept his ears open for the roar of lions or the laugh of hyenas. For hours, he found nothing but small rabbits and colorful birds. As night began to fall, he built a small shelter with branches and leaves. He made a tiny fire, just enough to keep warm but not large enough to attract wild animals. Alone under the stars, Kato felt fear creeping into his heart. But he also felt something else, strength. On the second day, Kato found footprints in the mud near a stream. They were large and deep, buffalo tracks. He remembered the stories of the buffalo, how they were strong but dangerous. Some men even died trying to hunt them. Kato decided that bringing back proof of a buffalo would show everyone he was brave. He followed the tracks carefully, moving as silently as a shadow. After some hours, he found a large buffalo grazing near the water. Kato hid behind a tree, gripping his knife tightly. His heart beat like a drum in his chest. Kato knew he could not fight a buffalo alone. It was too big, too strong. Instead, he remembered what his grandfather taught him: wisdom is greater than strength. Kato looked around and saw a thick vine hanging from a tree. An idea came to him. He quietly made a trap by tying the vine into a loop and hiding it under some grass. Then he threw a small stone near the buffalo to make it move. When the buffalo stepped into the loop, Kato pulled with all his strength. The vine tightened around the buffalo's leg, and it bellowed in anger. Kato knew he could not hold it for long. He quickly cut a piece of the buffalo's thick fur with his knife and ran before the buffalo could break free. Breathing hard, Kato did not stop running until he was deep inside the forest again. He looked at the piece of buffalo fur in his hand. It was thick and smelled of wild earth. Kato smiled for the first time in 2 days. He had proof of his bravery. Now he just needed to find his way home. But the forest had other plans. As he moved through the trees, dark clouds covered the sky, and rain began to fall. The paths turned to rivers of mud, and Kato lost his way. For hours, he wandered, cold and hungry, calling for help. But only the trees answered. When the rain stopped, Kato sat under a tree, shivering. He thought of his mother's smile, his father's strong hands, and the warm fires of his village. He wanted to give up, to lie down and sleep forever. But then he felt the lion's tooth around his neck. It reminded him of who he was. "A man does not give up," he whispered to himself. He stood up and listened carefully. In the distance, he heard the faint sound of drums. His village was calling. Using the stars and the sound of the drums as his guide, Kato began to walk. It took all night, but by morning, Kato stumbled into the village. His clothes were torn, his feet were bleeding, and his body was weak. But he was smiling. He held the piece of buffalo fur high in his hand. The villagers gathered around him, eyes wide with amazement. His father lifted him onto his shoulders, shouting with pride. Today, Kato returns not as a boy, but as a man, the elders declared. That evening, Kato sat by the great fire, wearing a warrior's cloth across his chest. He told his story, and the old man nodded with respect. Kato's heart was full. From that day on, Kato was known as Kato the Brave. He helped lead the young boys on hunts and taught them how to survive in the forest. He never forgot the lessons he learned, the importance of courage, wisdom, and never giving up. Whenever he passed the lion's tooth around his neck, he smiled, remembering the boy who once dared to walk into the forest alone. And in the hearts of his people, Kato lived forever as the boy who truly became a man.